Okay, hi boys and girls. We're gonna start a new lesson today. We're gonna try to do a read aloud with you because we're really hoping you've been reading at home. And again, it's Miss Kim and Miss Rosales who are gonna be acting like the students as I'm gonna read aloud to them. But I left all my books at school, just like you did. And so we found an online book that you might know this actor as he reads, but I'm gonna make it a surprise as I press play. And the book is called Clark the Shark. So we're gonna listen, and as we listen, might ask you to talk to somebody, act out something, or write something. So make sure you have a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil. And if you have no one to talk to, you can just talk to the video as we're filming this. Okay? Okay, Miss Kim and Miss Rosales, do you guys have paper and a pencil?
We weren't prepared. Can add it really quick?
No, but we can act it out. Or
Go ahead
All right.
and make sure that as long as you know what you want to say. Okay, here
Okay.
you go.
Hey everybody, welcome to Storyline Online, brought to you by the SAG
It's Chris Pine. Okay, here we
From Wonder Woman.
go.
Foundation. My name is Chris Pine, and today we are reading the wonderful book, Clark the Shark, written by Bruce Hale and illustrated by Guy Francis. Let us begin. In all of the wide blue seas, in all of the wide blue world, the top school for fish was the Theodore Roosterfish Elementary. And of all the fish, Theodore Roosterfish, the biggest and the strongest, was Clark the Shark. Clark loved school, and he loved his teacher, Mrs. Inkydink. He loved to play upsy-downsy, spin-a-majig with his friends. Clark loved his life. School is awesome, shouted Clark the Shark. Less shouting, more reading, said Mrs. Inkydink. Lunchtime is sweet, yelled Clark the Shark. Munch your own lunch, said his best friend Joey Mackerel.
I'm gonna pause right there and let's do a stop and talk. I'm noticing that Clark looks like he's really enjoying himself, but I'm also noticing that the other characters in the story, they might have some different feelings. What do you think they're feeling? So take some time to think and then give me a thumbs up when you have a thought. You might be thinking, answering this question with a sentence, they feel blank. So when you have a thought, give me a thumbs up and I'll call on some students to answer this question. Awesome, Miss Kim and Miss Rosales, maybe you guys can stop and talk to each other. What do you think the other characters are feeling?
well, I'm noticing that their faces are showing that they're not happy. They're feeling left out. Miss Kim?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like I wonder if the other characters are feeling as though he's different from them. If Clark is, it seems like they feel like he doesn't quite belong there.
Some really good thinking there. And in any story that we read, characters can be different, right? So let's continue to read and see if that's true for the rest of the story.
Recess rocks, bellowed Clark the Shark. You're playing too rough, Clark, cried the other kids. Yes, Clark loved his life with all of his sharky heart. Everything. Way too much. Too loud. Too wild. He was just too much shark for the other fish to him. After a while, no one would play with Clark. No one ate lunch with Clark. No one.
Let's pause right there and we're gonna do a stop and act. Can you show me with your face and act with your faces, boys and girls, what you think Clark might be looking like right now? And I know you can kind of see Clark, but show me what that would look like with your face. Oh, I see really sad faces. I think I'd be really sad too if I was Clark. Let's continue to see what happens next.
Sat with him in circle time. Even his best friend, Joey Mackerel, said, "Cool your jets, Clark. You're making me crazy." One day, Clark asked Mrs. Inkydink, "What's wrong with everyone?" Mrs. Inkydink, she patted his fin. "Clark, sometimes you play too hard. You munch too hard. Gosh, even help too hard. But life is so exciting, said Clark. There's a time and a place for everything, said Mrs. Inky Dink. And sometimes the rule is stay cool.
Boys and girls, let's think. What do you think it means to stay cool? Can you predict what do you think Miss Inky Dink is going to ask Clark to do? And then give me a thumbs up when you have an idea of what you think that looks like. Miss Kim, can you show us or tell us what you think it would look like to stay cool?
I feel like what I think by staying cool is staying neutral, kind of staying in the norm, not being too extreme, but just kind of staying in the middle. Basically, she's saying, why can't you just be normal?
What do you think, Ms. Rosales?
Well, I was thinking more along the line of Miss Inkling is really loving his excitement, but has noticed that because he gets overly excited with his feelings, he doesn't really get a chance to be or get along with his friends. And so staying cool would look like bringing down that excitement a tad lower. So where he is like pulling on the jump rope in a harsh way, he may be more gentle and just tugging at it lightly.
And I think you guys made some really good points. And when I was reading it, I was thinking maybe it's like when our cool down strategies, like taking a deep breath and taking it easy and figuring out how to respond in a situation. But we'll see. Let's continue.
At recess, Clark tried to stay cool, but he pushed the swing with too much zing. Oh, sorry, said Clark. I forgot. Yikes, cried Joey Mackerel. At lunch, Clark tried to stay cool, but everything smelled so good, he munched a bunch of lunches. Oh, sorry, said Clark. I forgot. We're starving, said his friends. And in class, Clark tried to stay cool, but a good book got him all shook up. Now, Clark, said Mrs. Inky Dink, this isn't the time or the place. Tell me, what's the rule?
I'm going to pause right there. Wow, it looks like Clark is really trying hard to stay cool. What does that tell you about Clark? Like, what do we learn about Clark's personality or his character traits? And remember, a character trait is how a character behaves. So you might want to fill out the sentence saying, Clark is, on your paper. You might want to write Clark is and fill in the blank. What do you think? How would you describe Clark? I'll give you some time to think and either jot it down. And when you are ready, you can give me a thumbs up. Ms. Rosales, what do you think? Clark is?
Clark is enthusiastic, but he is also, I believe, I want to say energetic, but can I get some help from my friend, Miss Kim?
I thought that Clark was considerate. I think that he was trying to consider how other characters are feeling, and he was trying so hard to try his best to make sure that he wasn't, even the swinging, he wasn't trying to push hard, and he was really trying to be gentle and consider the other characters' feelings.
Yeah, so I heard that Clark is enthusiastic, energetic, considerate. Those are really good adjectives, and I would add he's like thoughtful, which is kind of like considerate. He's thinking of others as he's making these choices. Let's continue.
Hey, cool, said Clark. Hey, that rhymes, he cried. And Clark had a big idea in his sharky head. If I make a rhyme, I'll remember every time, he thought. The next day, he put his plan to work. In class, when lessons got exciting, Clark wanted to bounce up out of his seat. Instead, he told himself, when teacher's talking, don't go walking.
Ooh, rhyming words. What rhyming words did you hear in that sentence?
Talking,
talking,
And walking?
and
Walking.
walking. Good job. Let's see if we can continue to find some other rhyming words.
And what do you know? It worked. Boy, Clark, said Mrs. Inky Dink. Clark smiled. Wow, lessons are fun. At lunch, everything smelled so yummy. When Clark wanted to eat and never stop, he told himself, only munch your own lunch.
Ooh, I heard some other ones. What are some other rhyming words?
Munch and
Lunch.
Lunch. Nice.
Yeah. Way to go, Clark, said his friends. Clark grinned. Lunch is fun. Playtime, Clark told himself. Easy does it, that's the way. Then my friends will let me play.
Ooh, this one sounds like a little bit harder. What are the two rhyming words you heard here?
I cut play.
Yeah.
Did you hear the other one?
No.
No, it went too
Play
fast. For me.
and play.
Oh.
Okay.
It's okay. Boys and girls, you can rewind and make sure that I heard it correctly.
Okay.
That was fun. Once more, Clark loved his life. But then, a shadow fell across the playground. A ginormous shadow with tentacles galore.
We're going to pause right there. Before we continue to the next part of the story, I realized that Clark is solving a problem. Would you agree, Miss Kim and Mr. Salas?
Yeah.
Yes.
Beginning of the story, the problem was that Clark had a hard time staying cool. But how did he solve that problem?
He made up rhymes to help remind him to stay cool.
Yeah, so in stories, there's usually a change in a story. It doesn't always have a problem and a solution, but there's something that changes in the story. And one change we noticed here was, at first, Clark had a hard time calming himself down and staying cool, but now he came up with some strategies to solve that problem. So let's see how this helps him. Oh, sorry, Miss Kim, do you have a question?
Yeah, no, and I also realized the title of the story also rhymes. Clark Shark.
You're right. I wonder
Whoa.
parts of the book that rhyme too. It's so fun. You can do so many different things while you read. Let's see what happens at this part of the story.
It's a new kid, and he looks scary, cried Joey Mackerel. Swim for your lives. Squid squashed the slide and snapped off the swings. Oops, my bad, said the new kid. Wait, said Clark. He just wants to play.
We'll pause right here. Now that Clark is getting along with the rest of his class, how do you think he's going to help this new friend? Do you think he's going to help the new friend? I want you to make a prediction and write it in your journal. And you might say, I predict blank. So give you some time to think. What do you think? How do you think Clark's going to respond? And when you're ready, yeah, great job. You can give me a thumbs up. Miss Kim, what do you think?
I predict that Clark is going to help this new friend to stay cool.
How about you, Miss Rosales?
I just wanted to add on and say that he will share his strategies that he's learned to help manage his cool.
Okay, boys
Or
and girls.
manage
Good. Are
his
you guys ready to see if those predictions are true?
Yes, really ready.
Yes.
Oh, here we go.
Let's find a way. And he swam at the new kid with all his might. Clark played harder than he ever had before. Upsy downsy, spin him a jig. Why, he even made up a new game. Tail Lumpalumpus. Wow, that was fun, said the new kid breathlessly. He settled down. If you want to come to school, you gotta stay cool, said Clark. That's right, Clark, said Mrs. Inky Dink. And thanks for taking care of our new classmate, Sid the Squid. Hooray for Clark the Shark! Everyone cheered.
So was our predictions true?
Yes.
Yes.
And how did he help Sid the Squid?
Well, he came up with a game together. He was friendly with one another and reminding him to stay cool.
Miss Kim,
Miss Kim?
I also agree. I believe that he welcomed him and he allowed, in some ways, I feel like he allowed him to be himself, and they were creative and they just, played a game that they were both having fun. And I felt like they were being themselves.
Hmm. I wonder if Clark would agree with that, if that's what he learns. Let's see. Let's finish up this story and see what happens.
That night, Clark's mother asked, "What did you learn at school, dear?"
Oh, I'm so sorry. I have to pause. Every time the author says something about what do you learn when the character asks another character, I know as a good reader, that's going to give me the big idea of the story. So let's pay attention. This is probably the big idea of what this story is about.
There's a time and a place for everything, Clark said. Sometimes you stay cool. But sometimes a shark's got to do what a shark's got to do. The end.
Wow. So what do you guys think was the big idea of this story?
Oh,
So I think it is important that sometimes you do have to consider other feelings, but there are also times when it's okay to be yourself. And I felt like the moment he met a new friend, I felt like he was being himself and not necessarily staying cool.
Mhm.
I thought that was good that he got a chance to see him, a part of himself in another character, and realize how very true it is to that there are times for where when it's okay to be yourself, and when it's necessary to keep your cool. So just adding on to what Miss Kim said.
Yeah, those are such great big ideas. And I think we can also ask ourselves, how might we connect with the big idea of this story? How does this apply to our own lives? And how does that affect who we are as students, as sons and daughters, as just the different roles that we play? And so what I'm going to do is I have some extra questions that you guys can add in your interactive journal, that you can go back and replay this whole video, listen to the story again, and go back and maybe put yourself in the story. How would you, if you were a character in the story, respond to the different events that are going on? Do you agree with how Clark's classmates treated him in the beginning of the story? Or you do disagree, because sometimes we can act differently. Is there something else we could have done that made Clark understand what was going on better? And so we're going to put the link of the storyline of this actual story on the comments below, so that you can click and also re-listen to the story and answer those questions. But that's about it. Thanks for joining us in today's Read Aloud. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I have to learn how to, oopsies, stop this. There we go. Okay, really, bye now.